I'm Marc Stevens, author of Adventures in Legal Land, host of the No State Project, and we're live on LRN.FM every Saturday from 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, quite late in the UK, which joining me for this short video is a good friend of mine, and who does the No State Project UK. He also does a rebroadcast on awakeradio.co.uk on Sundays. I want to welcome back Vin. Welcome back, mate.
Hello there, mate. You all right?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I appreciate you taking a little bit of time. I know it's much later where you are than here in the fortified compound in Phoenix, Arizona, where it's a balmy 60 degrees. Don't mean to rub that one in, but
Trying to make me feel
I know
jealous.
it's actually winter over there by you guys. But I wanted to talk about real briefly because I mentioned it on the show, and I appreciate you sending me this. So I'm looking at right now the adjudicator's decision that you sent me a few days ago, and it was the Traffic Penalty Tribunal for England and Wales.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And I know you redacted some of the personal information, but this wasn't for you. This was for a friend of yours.
That's right. Yeah, we put this forward as part of the No State Project's traffic study. And what we did was, well, the way he got the ticket basically dropped was we used one of your UK motions, or applications as they're called in this country.
Repeat that. You said that quick. Say what's the word for a motion in the UK or England?
They just called it an application now. I think back in 1999 or 2001, I think they changed a lot of the wording regarding some of this stuff. And it came in with something called the Wolf Reforms. And they just changed the word motion to application. That's all.
Okay, so
basically we used one of your equivalents, the equivalent UK motion.
Right, and the basis of the motion is basically the same as what we do here. That we're challenging the accuser or the prosecutor or the solicitor's position that they're under the impression that there are facts showing that the Constitution or the code or the regulations or the bylaws, whatever they're calling them there, that they apply to you and that the court has jurisdiction. And so we're challenging that and that there's no valid cause of action.
That's right, yeah. I mean, that's the whole basis of it. The fact is that none of the elements that should be there obviously aren't present in the original ticket they give her. It's simply just a demand for money. A claim you're breaking the act, in this case, I believe it was a Road Traffic Act, as they call it in this country, or one of its variants, and they basically state it on the document, on the ticket that you're given, but there's no facts to back up that it's even applicable. So that's basically what we challenge them on as part of it as well. And what we did was we used one of your, let's say, we used the motion, the application to dismiss, and initially they rejected it. So we decided to go to what's called the TPT, the Appeals Tribunal. In this country, it works a little differently because it's not like in America where you are, where if you get a parking ticket, I believe you can go to court straight away, can't you?
Well, in most places. There are certain areas like in California that you do not, and there are some parts of Canada that you don't. And I know, so it's kind of similar, depending on where you are. It's not as widespread here in North America as it sounds like it is in England.
Yeah, so basically what we have to deal with are councils. We don't deal with courts at all when it comes to parking tickets, except if you end up going to the High Court for a judicial review over a ticket. But usually most people never let it get that far. And because it's such a long-winded process a lot of the time, sometimes it can prove expensive. Some people, they threaten you with costs and everything, so not many people actually go there regarding parking tickets. So basically what happened was that, let's say we used the application to dismiss. They initially rejected it, so then we used the same grounds, but then we put an appeal in to what's called TPT, the Traffic Parking Tribunal, I believe it's called.
The Traffic Penalty Tribunal.
Traffic Penalty Tribunal, yeah, sorry.
Real quick, Vin, and I got to ask, did they give you any or articulate any grounds for the denial of the application?
No, my friend who got the ticket, he did actually ring up and ask them why, and they refused to give him any answer.
Which the fact not appearing is presumed not to exist. If they had grounds, they'd provide them. Especially since like you're saying, it's such a long-winded process. Why would they, through all this, all this blubbering, why would they leave out something as important as, hey, the grounds for a decision? Okay, so you get to you file it into the Traffic Penalty Tribunal, and is this what you get next? You just get the adjudicator's decision?
Well, yeah, you can either have a telephonic hearing or you can actually go in front of them. Usually they call the solicitor forward for that. And that's who you put in front of. It turns out these solicitors, the TPT, and there's another one called PATAS, which covers the London area. Everywhere else in the country is covered by the TPT. It turns out these they're two separate companies that got set up by the government under statute. And it turns out they both the adjudicators all get paid by the very same councils that issue the parking tickets. It goes to another company as a third party, if you like, but they're on the payroll of the council still. So it's no different to a judge in court being paid by the state when the state's the plaintiff.
There you sense. Go. Yeah. It's all a very obvious conflict of interest. So,
absolutely, yeah. I've actually made a few phone calls to them and recorded them on this, and actually tried to get them to explain how it doesn't constitute a conflict of interest, given the fact they've already admitted that the adjudicators are actually on the payroll of the councils, and they don't want to go there, do they?
No, I spoke to a psychopath about it last week at a hearing, and what really got them going and really tied them up was when, and I just asked the questions. You doing the same thing. We're just asking questions, and I asked, well, so are you supposed to be the fair, impartial, and independent decision maker here? And she said, well, yes. Well, then how can you be independent of the very department that you're working for right now? Please explain how you could be independent of the department you work for? And of course, they can't do that. So what I'm looking at here is the important thing is so the result is it says the council decided not to contest this appeal, which is great. So the important thing is the decision is the appellant is not liable to pay the outstanding penalty charge, which is basically a way of saying, well, we're dropping the ticket and you don't have to pay anything.
Mm-hmm. That's right, yeah. And I mean, let's say they initially wouldn't accept the like you normally get in court. Sometimes they'll dismiss the original application or motion, and they won't give you grounds to do it. Grounds why they're dismissing it, why they're ignoring it. But then we went after them with an appeal, and we used the same grounds. We just said, that still stands as far as we're concerned. And obviously, we added in a little bit of extra stuff, such as presence within the borough or county, or lack of facts proving the vehicle and its owner was physically present within the borough, and obviously as to the applicability of the law as well. So we added in a few little extra parts, and that was the decision we got back. They didn't want to contest it after that, so for some reason it got them spooked, maybe.
Well, we can only go by the evidence that's before us. I know a lot of people will marginalize this and say, well, it doesn't mean that it's no evidence that they thought that your application, any of the legal points and facts that you raised had any merit, not that they believed there was any merit. Well, I think the circumstantial evidence here tips it in our favor that it was the issues. What else? What other? Why else?
It was your paperwork and your research that we used, and that was it basically. That's all we used against them. So there was nothing else that they could pick out and say, "Oh, well, actually, it was because of this reason." Well,
no. So the first time they rejected it and didn't give a reason, so at least they made a decision. So we know. So if you have against you already the fact that they've dismissed the application with no explanation, why not just do it again? If you really believe that there's no merit to this. So I think the circumstantial evidence here tips way in our favor that it had to do with the issues that were raised, because the issues that were raised stand on their own, independent of a council decision or a barrister's decision or anyone's. They stand on their own merit. There's no evidence that the regulations or the act in this situation applies, because if they did, they would have just provided it. I mean, the fact not appearing is presumed not to exist. I really appreciate you guys, what you're doing over there, too, because now we've got evidence where just challenging them on the facts that the Constitution and Code are applicable, or that and that the evidence that you're present within this fiction called the borough or the state, we've now got evidence that we've gotten tickets thrown out and we've prevailed on 3 continents.
Wow. That's really good.
Yeah, we got North.
Well, it just goes to show you the facts remain the same no matter where you are, and whatever their legal opinion is.
Yeah. As long as it's a legal opinion and they don't have any facts to back it up, we'll keep prevailing. I mean, all we're doing is calling them on their BS, and we can see that this is just one more example. Because we've done it now in North America. We've got the documentation because we've done it for years, but we've got the documentation for North America. Now we've got for Europe and Australia, because like Keith in Melbourne, we reported a number of weeks ago where he's participating in this also, and he had a parking ticket thrown out. So.
Oh, brilliant! That's good.
So
us under the same, under the similar court system to ours, we're under the Crown, same as them.
It's all the same crap. But when you really distill it down, it's just somebody making leveling an accusation, an opinion against you, and doing so without any kind of evidence. So that's why it's so effective. The window dressing is a little different where you are as opposed to here or in Australia, New Zealand, or Canada. But when we distill it down and we're just looking at one jackass making an accusation that has no evidence to back it up, it's all the same, and that's why we're getting these. We're able to get these things tossed out.
Yeah, so we're happy about that. That's sort of the first one in this country that we can actually verify as being thrown out based on your work and the UK motions. So there you have it. First result. So it's the appeal paperwork was all based on appeal paperwork that you've helped me with in the past that we've used in this country for other cases. So because it's all the same, we're always arguing, but we're always using the same set of facts regardless of what we're dealing with.
Right. This isn't the first time we've had someone prevail in England. This is the first time we've got it in writing. This is the first time somebody has been able to get me the documentation and the evidence to prove that it was thrown out, whereas before we were just going based on someone's word, which is usually pretty good. However, it's much better to have the documentation like you sent here. So I appreciate your time, my friend. You do the No State Project UK, and it airs on awakeradio.co.uk, and that's on Monday nights?
It's on Sunday afternoons. 12 noon it starts till about 5 or 6 o'clock. Depends how long I want to run the show for.
Excellent. So and you have a rebroadcast of my No State Project on Sunday also.
That's right, yeah.
All right. Great. Appreciate it.
No State Project Reloaded.
Right. No State Project Reloaded. Well, I appreciate it, my friend. Thanks for calling on again, Vin. I appreciate it. My name is Marc Stevens. Of course, the website, markstevens.net. And if you disagree with anything that Vin and I presented here in this video or on the radio show or on markstevens.net, you're more than happy to call into my show, The No State Project. We're live every Saturday from 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and on LRN.FM and also truthfrequencyradio.com. Again, I'm Marc Stevens, and this is markstevens.net.